Satnam, Waheguru. This is Sathayakar, also known as Swaha, with the Infinite Backpack. I'm back with you again today. And, well, today I want to talk about something that I do talk about frequently, and it's about sleeping and understanding what we need. Um, we've been taught, and well, I should say we've been conditioned that we're somehow supposed to be prepared to sleep together. You know, put whether we're brothers and sisters sleeping in the same room, and some of us have been lucky enough to have separate accommodations. You go to different countries and you see whole families sleeping in one room, and while we can understand that that may have been done due to the size of the accommodations that they had available to them at the time. But something we have to understand is because I have a lot of friends and colleagues that really believe in the whole communal living and about sharing space while we're sleeping with another, and then of course we've been also taught with marriage that many of us have been taught that we're supposed to be sleeping together with our spouse in the same room, and that's what we're supposed to do. And what we have to actually start to recognize is that our individual energies and our individual energies aren't all the same. And majority of us, all right, it doesn't mean we can't sleep with somebody, all right, in the same room. But it is best that we spend most of our time sleeping separately in our own energy, in our own energy. Because when we sleep in our own energy without getting any connection from another, that actually can help us sleep more soundly. It can also help us wake more refreshed, and it can also help us wake as ourselves rather than someone we're not. You see, our auras we can condition each other with our auras simply by being in another's presence. Now, that's not always a bad thing if you understand what's happening, if you understand how to take advantage of another's aura, and also when you know that it's a disadvantage for you. About knowing these things, and so. But what we have to understand, though, is that for 80% of the world, most of their auras is what we call an open aura, and that open aura can penetrate through the walls. So even if you are sleeping, next door in a room, okay, and if there's another person on the other side of the room, you could actually be receiving energy from their aura. Now, what happens is that with this energy, okay, so 80% of the planet, right, they have energy that's going 24/7. And because this energy is going 24/7, now they're built for that, okay? But for example, I'm not built that same way. I actually have a very closed aura. And because of that, my aura is definitely difficult to penetrate in the first place. But if I'm around somebody for too long with one of those open auras, it can penetrate me, or I should say make me feel as if I'm vibrating too much. And it can be so much that it can make people feel as if they have anxiety when they don't. It's just how their system is being hit by that energy of that aura. And it's not necessarily a good thing. In fact, most of the time it isn't a good thing. And so sleeping on our own allows us to, get that restful sleep. It allows for us to rejuvenate, especially during the hours between 10 and 2 at night. That's a time when our body is going through its detoxification process. That's a time that the body is going through its healing process, the rejuvenation process. That's when that's happening. Now, if we're sleeping with another person and that's stirring us while we're sleeping, even though we may be unaware of it, that doesn't mean that our system isn't being hit with that energy. And so it's important for us to sleep separately and understand how we can be impacted by that. Now, I want to speak to this about marriage or being with a partner, okay? And so if you're in the habit of feeling like, and a lot of people do, feel like they need to be sleeping with their partner every single night, you have to start to begin to understand what you're doing to yourself, okay? Part of the reason there's the separation and divorce, I mean, there's many reasons for it, but one of the reasons is that there isn't a break in the bedroom. There isn't a break in the sleep. They're constantly bumping up against each other during the night, energetically speaking. And so if you're not getting that break during the nighttime when you're sleeping, when you're supposed to be at your most peaceful, right? Then what happens is that takes its toll on you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and it can impact your relationship with each other. It can impact your work and career. It can impact your diet and nutrition. It can impact how you think, and it definitely, most definitely impacts your decision making. And so what I suggest for people to do, because this is actually new concept for a lot of people. So what I suggest people to do is experiment with it. Experiment with it and notice the difference. Now, and that means that, you sleep in separate rooms. And that may mean you sleep, someone sleeps on the couch, someone sleeps in another bedroom, someone sleeps on the floor, someone sleeps in the bed. It's important though to sleep with walls in between you so that you can really get a different sense of what it's like. Now, I will tell you that you do need to probably try this for some time, especially if you are someone who has been sleeping with someone consistently, because now you've been conditioned by each other, and so it will take some time to get used to sleeping on your own. And what happens typically at first, some of us will feel really relieved to be sleeping on our own for once. But a lot of us will feel as if something's wrong, as if we're missing something, and some of us will even go as far as feeling sad, as if we need to have that person by our side, and that there's something wrong. I mean, it's maybe people will say that, saying something about how I love that person or appreciate that person or that connection with that person or the touch of that person's body, whatever it is, and that is a process of deconditioning, believe it or not, and it's simply because we've gotten ourselves tied to that other, especially during the nighttime, where we, unfortunately, if we're sleeping with another person, we get our deepest conditioning when we're sleeping with another person, even more so than we do during the day, and because it's just, that's how it works. And I'll go into more detail about this now at another time. But so I suggest that if you're going to try it, do it, utilize your time. Do it during the weekend. Do it during the weekdays. Experiment with it. Try it for a couple of days. Notice the shifts and changes in you. Notice how you sleep. Notice how you wake. Notice how you feel during the day. Notice, because especially if you run to the person the next day, that might be telling you something, that you're slightly attached and you're feeling really concerned, and you're not standing in your own two shoes, and you're not standing in your own space, and you have been conditioned that that togetherness, that there's something wrong if there's a distance between that togetherness, and that's where you have to start to question. Rather than question your relationship, first start with your sleep, because your sleeping patterns and how you sleep can make a big difference. And I've seen a significant change in people when they experiment with this. And granted, you do have to give yourself time. Don't expect that this is going to work fast. Now, some of you, it may work fast, but others, it may take some time. And so give yourself this time. And also don't, if you are someone that does regularly sleep with someone, whether it's your child, whether it's your spouse, partner, whomever, even if it is an animal, okay, I'm not going to forget about this, even if it's an animal, cat, dog, bird, rat, snake, tarantula, whatever it is you got, okay, they also have auras as well. And so I'm simply speaking is that you find a way to sleep on your own, all right? Without that dog, without that cat, without that spouse, without that partner, okay? You find a way to sleep on your own and see the difference and notice the difference of how you sleep, okay? And how you feel when you wake up. And give yourself some time doing it. And you may have to practice off and on because, sometimes it's hard for us to give up sleeping with those um, that we really like to be with. Okay, and it's and your kids will benefit from this practice as well. And if you practice it, make sure and tell the other. Let them know you're doing this as an experiment. Okay, share this with them, all right, so that they're aware of what you're doing. Because unfortunately, if you don't, then, some are going to get the wrong idea, right? That somehow you don't care about them or you don't want to be around them or something's wrong. I mean, our minds will play with this, okay? So, do the right thing and make sure and tell whoever it is you normally sleep with that you want to practice this experiment and see if you can do it together, meaning, sleep in separate spaces. This doesn't mean you can't make love and all that kind of stuff. You can still do those things. Just go to separate quarters, after you do that. Um, just allow yourself to do this experiment. All right, it's worth it. And I suggest giving it a try, especially if those of you who are not sleeping well, especially if those of you who are not waking up or feeling rested, especially those of you who have health and well-being issues, if you're sick, if you're not feeling good, all right? This is not, again, about blaming the other person, all right? Everybody is their own individual, and we all have our own energy, all right? But it can be how we're impacting each other while we're sleeping, all right? And so sleeping alone can be a significant difference in creating better health and well-being for our own physical well-being, mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being. We'll notice a difference. And so I suggest you practice it. There is obviously far more details than I could go into this, but this is what I'm suggesting. You want better health and well-being, try this practice. Notice, see, okay? And feel free to ping me and let me know about your experience and ask questions as you have them, okay? All right, take care. Sat Nam. Cheers.